Um, Welcome to the expo. My speech, I just want to ask if anyone has been to the expo, in coming here looking to find a builder or buy a land. The first question you probably ask the builder is whether we have some, upgrade options. And some builder may tell you, okay, we have three.
This session right now in the seminar room is how to create a third space in your future home from Homilate.
Yeah, and the builder may tells you that, we have three options, and the first option is, we can help you to create another master bedroom downstairs, and the second option maybe we have a bigger pantry upgrade, and the last option maybe, have a big alfresco with, a big outdoor living deckings. The interesting thing is, it's kind of boring because everyone is having the similar sort of upgrade. What about if you go to a builder and the builder says, no, we have three options. Option one is to upgrade, and then you can have fulfillment and prosperities and in your future. And the second option, you can have love, happiness to your family. And the last option may be for your kids to have a successful future. A lot of people didn't aware that how much impact your living environment can make on your family's mental health. And if you thinking is that possible to achieve that, and this is what my seminar is about. Of course, it's possible. The first answer is that's possible. Let's first, but how can we make that change? So this is what I believe. So if you consciously change your living environment, then you will change your life. Yeah, this is something probably someone never heard of it before. But let's have a look at some numbers. So this is what's happening currently around the world. In America, people now spend 62%, like more than 10 hours a day of their waking time at home. And in Australia, we have about like 2/3 of the population are currently either remote working or hybrid working. So what does that tell us? So it means that now our home has become our primary location to live our life. So that has a lot of message. Yeah? If you spend majority of your time, working or study or living your life at home, then you could experience a lot of emotions. And this is what's happened. This is from the World Health Organization. So the pandemic triggers 25% increase of the anxiety and the depression across the world. And this is something make even bigger impact on women and the kids. So this has got me to think, if our living environment can make so much negative impact on our mental health, so can it also make positive influence and generate love and happiness? And the answer is yes. So this is what I do. My name is Lei. My company called Homilate. We only start this concept during the COVID pandemic. Before that, I was like a building designer, architect, helping a family to build home and design their dream homes. So we have done some beautiful homes before, and this is all that. So what happens is, let me just share my own story. So I live in the city, in the Melbourne city, in a small apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. I live in this apartment with my girlfriend and my girlfriend's mom, the Chinese parents. And during COVID, we had the probably one lockdown in the world, like 200 days or something. So everything, the groceries, we will have stock at least 2 weeks of the food in our apartment, and this is very small, tiny apartment. So the problem is as time going, and very soon we found out we ran out of space. We got no space to stock all the food. And thanks to the Chinese cooking, because we need a lot of ingredients and different type of resource and food ingredients. So we have to buy a big boxes of almost everything. So as time going, but at the same time our space running out was also going up in our apartment, and we can realize is our emotion, which is negative emotion. We can see people like feel nervous and scared because they got no certainty for the future. Especially Chinese parents, they scared like hell, and they couldn't go out for doing exercise. And it all goes up to a certain point, a breaking point, and something happened. There was one day, I came back from work, and I was having like all the dries and pants and clothes from my work. And we have this house rule. So during the pandemic, whenever the people coming back from outside, they have to change their dress. So they have to leave the outside clothes in the entry area. And what happened is I forgot that day, and I walk into the room and I sit on the couch. And the minute I sit on the couch, I noticed that my girlfriend's mom's face, the color changed. And she went back to the room. She called my girlfriend in and says, it starts from some argument. I can hear some argument, and then the yelling, the voice going up, and the screaming. And the door opened. They says that you can't do this to us. It's not fair. Yeah, we all have this pandemic, and you just don't care any one of us. You use this to damage all the whole family. And I didn't even have didn't pay attention to that until they mentioned. I noticed that shit, I got my pants on. So this is what happened, and that argument went very bad. It's worse in my memory, and that got my thinking. The following day, her mom came to me and said, "Apologize." I said, "What I did yesterday, I just cannot control my emotion." And I was thinking, what happened? Because that didn't happen before, and it shouldn't be happening now. And I noticed, I started paying attention to all this environment, the surroundings. I noticed all this, the garbage and boxes and the groceries we purchased before. And in the following weeks, we made some transformation of our apartment. So what we did, I went to IKEA, I bought some cabinet. I store all the food ingredient in the box, so we clean up the entry area. And then in our living area, I live in an apartment like a 33 level, so we got a bit of a view. And in the corner of the living area, I designed a corner. I call it like a mindful space, mindful corner. I put nice looking floor standing lamp and a rug on the floor, and also I bought a big garden. I sit next to it and put some books in there. So I told the whole family, so whoever has emotion out of control, just go into the corner, sit down there, spend half an hour, meditation or read books, or you just do nothing and looking outside the windows. And that changed the whole thing. So after that, we got no argument at all. And you can see the people was very peaceful, mindful, because they know that something. First, they observe what's happening, because their emotion is nothing wrong with external, there's internal, and they can have control of that. If they can spend 30 minutes in there, they know that they can control it. Yeah, and this is my story. So I call that the space I created, the third space. So now for this seminar, the reason I'm here is just want to tell this message to as many people as possible. Instead of like focusing on how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many living area, garage space, what about focusing on shift your focus to something that currently is missing, which is your mental health in the room, in the house, in whatever the environment you're living. So I call it a third space. So what is a third space? So the third space is a space that encourages you to be in the present, and to bring the greater focus on and awareness of your current moment and your surroundings. It's like a meditation. But you have to understand that some people, they're struggling with meditation because they cannot just sit down half an hour without looking at their phone. Yeah, it's very challenging, especially for elderly people, Asian, young. My parents or my girlfriend's parents don't even think about it. It's never going to happen. But what you can try, you can, instead of tell people to sit down to do the meditation for half an hour, you can actually physically create a space. Because remember that our external, especially our environment, living environment, our home, is the extension of our emotions. So whatever happens there, it goes here. And what's come out here, it goes out there. So if you can control that, and you can create a lot of things. Remember at the start I asked about whether you can create, fulfillment, prosperity, and long happiness for your family, for your kids. It's possible. The reason why that didn't happen because we keep focusing on trying to change the external, the physical world without changing the internal world. And that's very important, especially during the COVID. So here is what I'm talking about. That third space is right in the middle. So what's going to do is, if you sit there, you just do nothing or meditation or hear some music, you can free up the space. You can free up your internal space. And by free up the space, you can consciously pick up what emotions you want to feel in. Yeah, if you feel angry or feel frustrated and you feel depressed, sit down and do nothing and think about what's the best moment in my life that I feel joyful and happy. Just remember that moment and bring that moment back. And as long as you do that, you practice that, you can keep going and maybe weeks a month, you can notice, it's very easy to notice people change. You become more mindful, you talk more slowly, and you become more peaceful and treat people nicely. It's all going to happen. So how to create a third space at home to encourage people to be in the present moment? And this is the reason why I'm here. I'm trying to deliver this message to people. A lot of people thinking it costs a lot, but actually it's very simple. You only need to do these three things. First, you have to clean up your house. And this is a lot of, remember the story I told. So it all comes from your physical environment. You have to make sure your physical environment is as clean as possible. You have to hide all these unused stuff. You have to clean up your entry. The entry is very important because whenever you come back to home, you go into the entry first. So you want to feel the welcome when you come back to home, you clean up your entry. And the second is pick a location, a room, or just simply, if you're living in an apartment, you don't have much spare room or something, you just find a space. It could be an internal space, or it could be an external space, it could be anywhere. Yeah, when you find a space, the next one, the last one, is the transformation. So you consciously change that room or that space for mental health. Here is the thing I want you to focus. The five senses. This is when you're trying to create that space, making the transformation. You have to focus people's five senses. And the five senses is about what you see, what you hear, what you smell, or what you touch, and what you taste. It's all the human beings receiving information through the five senses. And if you want to change people, help people feel, help people the emotion, you have to come through the five senses. So what is five senses? It's what people see and what people hear, and what people touch, smell, and taste. And this is how we're gonna go through each item. I'll tell you how to make that transaction. So first, this is what we see every day. Yeah, if you want to create a space at home, a mindful space, and help your family to grow positive energies in the home, you have to create a space that focusing on these five senses. The first one is what you see. And what you see every day are different. But what you see when you're at home is very important. So there's a couple of items you can focus on to create space. The first one is your natural light. You have to, doesn't matter where you live, you have to have enough natural light, and it's very important. It doesn't even give you enough, like you create vitamin D for your health. Also, you just feel warm, accepted. Yeah, you feel peaceful. So that's the number one rule, to create enough natural light into the space. The second one is the garden. And I heard a lot of people talking about the garden concept. The garden doesn't necessarily have to be an outside garden. You can create some internal garden as well. Just buy a pot or plant, an indoor plant, and put that in that space. Because the garden, the other thing, I heard the other seminar, they were talking about how garden, the sustainability and things like that. But what garden actually contribute a lot to human, the people's mental health. They can practice a lot of mindful, meditation, or even just see how garden looks, grows, changing colors by the seasons. That will make you feel how powerful our nature is, and you create that growth mindset. So you're not taken control by externals. You can control yourself, and you can grow. You can achieve anything you want. And the third one is the warm color. So the color you see every day. If you want to create a space, consciously create a space focusing on mental health, I recommend you create a warmer color. Instead of like paint the wall to a white color, you probably need to paint a warm color so that it make you feel comfortable. And the next one is less is more. So don't bother to put so many stuff in the room. Just consciously pick maybe one or two items, like nice looking couch, maybe a furniture, and a table, maybe a teacup or something, a simple decoration in that room. You want to minimize the catchment of your eyes, because when you're looking around the room, you want to minimize what you see. And then you can focus on what you feel. And that's the whole purpose of creating this room. The second one is what you hear. And here it's pretty much a sound. You can create a sound around in the environment. So the best one is the sound of the nature. And this is very important. Whatever you're doing, you want to stay in the nature as close as possible. So have you ever been to a place that is raining heavily, but you sort of like standing outside, you don't care about the rain and just sitting there and doing nothing? It's just so relaxed. And the rain, the sound of the water actually help you to calm down and create that mindful, peaceful state in your mind. And the next one, if you don't have the natural sound, you can play some music. Music you can choose any instrument you like. You can play piano music. Personally, I like piano music, so because it's so relaxed, and it helped me to settle down and focusing my internal rather than the external. The next one, you can hear a meditation or affirmation. And remember the diagram I showed you before. There's the middle circle as your current being the present moment. When you sit in that third space, you're trying to clear up all your internal negative emotions, but you also want to put in some positive emotions. Yeah, and that affirmation and meditation is the tool to help you to fill up the cup. So you have to collect as much as you can, then you can give. Yeah, you don't want to walk off the room and go out, but you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough positive energy to give to your family, but you need to build that, you need to collect during this, inside of this room. And that's the next one, the touch. So people sometimes they tend to forget the things they're touching, they feel every day. Actually, they making impact on their mental health. You want to choose something that looks nature and touch the nature. the timber is definitely the best choice. You can use for decorative of your room, or you can use the timber furniture. And the other one you can also think about is a tatami, like a Japanese tatami. It's a tatami mat on the floor. So just imagine you walk on that and you with your bare feet, and you can feel the soft, and you feel the.
Our last session on the main stage is from our top town fencing on how to select the right fencing materials for your new home.
And yeah, you can look at the photo and you see that exactly that's the environment that you need to create. And the next one is warm. So you touch, you have to feel the warm. You can't just have a steel or metal materials in the space, because when you touch, you feel cold. You have to create a warm feeling by just selecting the materials. A timber material is the best option. The next one is what you smell. And you can bring the nature inside the room. You can have some flowers, you can have some gardens, or create some smell in the room. And
Are
also,
you looking for the right fencing for your new home, or replacing your current fencing at your home? Then you should proceed to the main stage to hear from our town fencing on how to select the right fencing materials for your new home.
also you can have some oil diffusers to create the smell, and a candle as well. And this is very important because it will create a memory in your mind. So that space, how you feel when you're staying in that space, your memory was, you anchored your memory by creating a smell. And you probably remember that, I don't know whether you've been to a Grand Casino, you can smell, it's a special flavor, perfume or whatever they're using. They were trying to anchor you to go back, because whatever you're doing, you're excited to make some money or something. You always, when you're walking past, you smell that flavor, you always want to go back. So this is important for a room, for your house as well. If you consciously pick a smell in the room, and when you're doing the meditation, when you feel relaxed, peaceful, and you remember that smell, then the next thing you can try, you can use that smell, the same oil diffuser for the whole house. Then whenever you come back from work, you open the door, you can immediately smell that flavor, and then you calm down. So that whole house become a place.
Would you like to know how to pay off your home mortgage in 5 years? Then you should now proceed to the seminar room to hear from Landmark on if there was a way to pay off your home mortgage in 5 years. Would you want to take a look?
Sorry, it's really annoying. Yeah, that's the smell, and this, because eventually you want to create an environment for your whole family. So you want to create a space when you come back to home, and you immediately feel calm. You can throw all the negative energies. Have argument with your customer, or you have a difficult challenge in the work. You don't want to bring that to your home. Yeah, and because COVID, now people start working from home.
Interested in how to pay off your home mortgage earlier? Then you should hear our last session in the seminar room from Landmark Investment on if there was a way to pay off your home mortgage in 5 years. Would you want to take a look?
People spend majority of time working from home. They don't have the space to break up the negative emotional energies from whatever they get from the work. And they have to deal with the family. They have to play with the kids. They have to spend time with the family. How can you cope with that situation? So you have to consciously create a space or a room at home. Then when people go into the room, you know that what you can get when you're out from the room, a peaceful mind, mindful, yeah? And then you spend your time play with the kids, play with the dog, and you all become a happy family. So this is the thing that's currently missing in the housing industry. And the last one is what you test. So I recommend you test tea, because it's natural material. It's natural materials. It's come from the nature. It's garden, and it has, it creates a bit of a memory in your mind as well. So it's everything. The five senses is all about creating memory and relate that memory to a peaceful, mindful emotions. So then you can bring that emotion, you can enlarge that emotion, you can create a better environment for your family, for your kids, and then they can live a happy life for themselves in the future. And people tend to forget how important our living environment can shape our kids' future. So when the kids grow up from a negative energy environment, they tend to bring that negative energy to the next generation. But if we can create some space to help them to cultivate a mind, a mindful, energy, positive energy, then they can repeat that cycle and they can create their successful future. So this is one example. This is one of the Airbnb I went to during the public holiday. It's in Dalesford. It has got all the five senses in the room, so you can go there and experience. You probably know what I'm just trying to. So they have the space. They have Japanese gardens as well.
Fencing is essential in securing your new home.
Yeah, you can sit down and just.
How to select the right materials for the fencing, then you should now proceed to the main stage to hear from our town fencing.
Yeah, this is the Airbnb. I highly recommend it. You can experience the five senses within this little small, very tiny room, but it got everything you can experience. You can just sit there simply doing nothing for a whole day. And they have different texture. Remember I mentioned about the touch. So you have different material, different texture. This is internal material as well. And yeah, let's see. Hope you guys enjoy that, and thank you very much.